All right, now that we have talked about time quality, we're going to move into time management. To start with, we're going to talk about the to-do list. Um, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things, and I have a couple of videos coming up right after this where I explain them in more detail. So I'm going to talk about them pretty briefly here. One of those is the to-do list. I actually use a dry erase board for my to-do list. The reason that I do this is one of the easiest ways for a task to not get done is for it to sit on the to-do list forever. And I find that when I have a list that is on paper or on a computer where it's easy to change things with the keyboard, I tend to ignore things for long periods of time if I don't feel like doing them. And I have found that that's very inefficient for me. So I actually started using a dry erase board where I will erase it completely and start with a new one every day. And of course, you can do that with paper. You can just stop using it and move the new things over to a new paper. But for me, I found that the dry erase board, I got satisfaction out of erasing everything and starting over from scratch. One big thing about using a to-do list is do the big scary thing first. So one of the best things that you can do for time management is during your highest quality time, as early in the day as possible, pick one thing. It can be a big thing. If you've got something that's going to take an hour or two or longer, that's the thing that you should work on first, because those things will sit on your list forever and ever and ever. I talked a little bit earlier about this task that I had on my to-do list to take some pictures and put them into a particular organization. It was really only about a 2-hour task, but it sat on my list in the back of my mind for 6 months waiting for me to do it, just because I didn't get up the gumption to do it. So those things are the things that you should do first. It's the easiest to get them out of the way, and I actually couch it to myself in such a way that if I only get one thing done today, what one thing could that be? And I would be satisfied with what I completed today. So I want to make that something significant. After you do the big task, you can kind of fit in. I usually pick 3 to 5 other, maybe 2, 3, up to 5 other medium to large goals that I want to complete in one day. And then the rest of it is just small things that are 10 minutes or less that are things that are pretty easy to do. So I have a video specifically about the Pomodoro method, so I'm not going to go too much into it here. But the Pomodoro method has completely reinvented my time management scheme. Its basic idea behind it is you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. And during those 25 minutes that you're working, you do not do anything other than the one task that you are working on. It gives you a sense of time urgency. It also gives you a sense of focus, and you can ignore other things to get that one thing done. I'll leave the details of that for the video. Next, I want to talk about batching tasks. Batching tasks is an incredible time saver and an incredible way to get lots of things done quickly. So I'm going to give you a particular example of that. But basically, the idea of batching tasks is, so for example, Facebook. So if you're like me, you have your Facebook account and you would like to check it about a gajillion times a day because it's fun, it takes your energy away, it's something that you can easily do, and it's just really easy to get distracted in it and maybe spend some time on it and just kind of keep going with it. So, but also Facebook is also, I'm currently living in Taiwan, but many of the people that are near and dear to me are not so near and they're very far away, and we keep track of each other through Facebook. So it's also an important means of social connection for me. So I can't just ignore it when I'm stressed. I really do want to be connected to the world of people around me. So I will batch my Facebook checking. I have a rule for myself that I'm not allowed to check Facebook until I have done at least 1 hour of work, including my big scary thing. So until I have my big scary thing done, no Facebook. Until I have worked for at least 1 hour, whether that's big scary thing or anything else, no Facebook. I also allow myself to check Facebook only during my breaks. So the Pomodoro method, I get 5-minute breaks. If I have something I want to check real quick, I'm allowed to do it then. But basically, I've set my major Facebooking time to be in the evening because that's a downtime for me after I've been working all day. I will spend 15 or 20 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, just going through and seeing what important people who are important to me are doing. And so that way I get a chance to do it, but it's pulled down to just a couple of times per day. And usually I don't, 5 minutes isn't long enough for me to do anything interesting in Facebook. I really like to see things and read things and check out articles and things. So I generally end up leaving my Facebooking until the end of the day, which ends up saving me a huge amount of energy and time. So I'm going to show you a specific example of this for the other major time suck of our lives of the 21st century, email, and how you might be able to batch your email. So email is another thing. I use Gmail as my major account. And so if you check your email 100 times a day, like I do sometimes, and try not to, it takes away so much of your energy, and every time you go over to your email and check it, then it's time taken away and energy taken away from doing the other things that you could be doing. So I do a couple of things. I batch my email. I will check my email only 2 times a day. So a lot of people will choose, when they talk about this batching email, they'll choose 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. based on the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. workday. That doesn't really work for me so much. I use my same 1-hour rule as Facebook. So I'm not allowed to check email other than emergency things. If I have something I know is coming through that I'm really worried about, I will check that. But generally, I will only check my email 2 times a day, and not the first time is not until after I've done my big scary thing and worked for at least an hour. And then the second time is similar to my Facebooking. It's at night when I have time and I'm kind of having some downtime. Another part of the batching is that, so I have some categories here that I use in my email. So TrialFacts is my position that I work for, helping researchers to recruit participants into their medical trials. So I want to be checking my TrialFacts email only when I'm actively working on TrialFacts work, which is at this point Tuesday through Friday for between 6 and 8 hours on each of those days. So I don't want those to come into my inbox for when I'm checking my email on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, because if I see it, I will want to do something about it. That's just how I work. But I don't want to be doing things on weekends because my coworkers are not there. There's a lot of reasons why it does not make sense. So in order to help my brain, I send those via an inbox rule directly to this TrialFacts label, and I take it out of the inbox. I also have a couple of other things in here that I use frequently for to-do and waiting. So to-do is anything in my inbox that I need to do, but it's going to take more than a couple of minutes to do. And waiting means something that I'm waiting for somebody else on. So hopefully that's helpful to see how I use my email and batching tasks. And let's move on to the next piece.